I don't think you heard me.
Hey, what's going on everybody? Matrox Gaming here, and welcome to today's video where we're finally going to be talking about Resurrection F. Everything that this movie totally could have done better, and a whole bunch of missed opportunities that we could have seen take place in this movie, but for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. So to start off, the fact that Frieza only needed 4 months to catch up to the levels of Goku and Vegeta is pretty ludicrous, and they try to make up for that by saying that Frieza is a prodigy, but the reason that doesn't work is just literally because every one of the main characters are prodigies. Goku is a prodigy as stated by Vegeta, Vegeta himself is a prodigy, Gohan is a half-breed, and according to Vegeta, Gohan has more potential than even the full-blooded Saiyan, so would that make him a super prodigy or something? That just goes to show there's literally no excuse for why Frieza only needed 4 months to get as strong as he did. Now, if you were to drag it out and say Frieza needed a year or maybe 2 years of consistent training with some genetic mutation and experimenting on himself to become stronger, then it wouldn't be as much of an issue. But as things are, there's no way it only took 4 months for him to become that strong, and it only fucks up the narrative of the story even more. What if Frieza decided to take the same amount of time Goku took to train? What if Frieza went into the Room of Spirit and Time and trained there? Can you imagine how much more powerful Frieza would be? It just doesn't make any sense. And what also doesn't make any sense is that in the movie, it stated that his power level in those 4 months rose from 530,000, which was his base power level in his first form, to 1.3 million in his same first form. So, tell me something real quick. How in the hell can he match the Saiyans if that was his real power level? Another issue is that Piccolo had stated it's been 6 months since Frieza was brought back to life, but only Frieza only trained for 4 months, so what was he doing the remainder 2 months? I mean, it could be possible that Frieza was resting and recuperating during those 2 months, or that it took 2 months to put his body back together after it was sliced to pieces, and these are only possibilities, but it should have been stated why he took the other 2 months off or something. Man literally could have been training more, and he could have easily surpassed Goku and Vegeta, and then rest and recover the day before he arrives on Earth. Not only that, Frieza makes his way to Earth after barely discovering the golden form, making him make the exact same mistake he made when he first fought Goku back on Namek. He couldn't control it that much, so he drained his power pretty fast. Frieza is normally smarter than that, so like, come on. You would think Frieza would play it smart and train a little longer, like for example in those remaining 2 months, to retain the strength of his golden form as a safety measure. Frieza would have actually won if that were the case, since Goku and Vegeta hadn't perfected Super Saiyan Blue yet at that time. In fact, they had just barely unlocked it, but suddenly we're supposed to expect that Frieza somehow didn't learn his lesson and went right after Goku after barely attaining his golden form, despite him knowing firsthand what Goku was capable of? Okay, fine, whatever. The power scaling is pretty wonky too in this movie. The Z Fighters were actually struggling with the Frieza Force, and if you watched my video on the top 5 characters I didn't like in Dragon Ball, you would know that the Frieza Force is mostly incompetent. For example, Piccolo was getting thrashed around by Sasami, who was stated to have a power level relative to Zarbon and Dodoria, both characters whom Vegeta massacred, and it took a Super Saiyan Gohan to beat this guy? Seriously. Another issue I have with the power scaling is the fact that Roshi was present in the whole fight and was actually fighting off some of Frieza's men. Now don't get me wrong, Roshi is dope and it's cool to see him in action again, but that doesn't make sense either. Reason being is because last I checked, his power level was 139 and that he had been a retired martial arts master for years now, but suddenly he's able to fight off an entire Frieza Force squadron? If Roshi could do it, why wasn't Yamcha there? Look, I know a lot of people like to shit on Yamcha, but back then in the early days of Dragon Ball, Yamcha was a badass. This is also the same time period where Roshi, although stating he was retired, was still in action. Roshi actually single-handedly beat Yamcha, beat Krillin, and technically did beat Goku, so the fact Roshi is there and not someone who, at this point, is far stronger than he is just doesn't make any sense to me. Yamcha took on Raccoon, an elite member of the Ginyu Force. Yes, it was a filler episode, but considering Yamcha was training with King Kai, the same person who made Goku go from weaker than Raditz to fighting on par with Vegeta, who was way stronger than Raditz at the time, it shouldn't be a surprise that Yamcha could supersede a member of the Ginyu Force. Another minor thing I have an issue with in this movie is that Frieza was brought back into tiny pieces. The Dragon Balls can bring back people in full body and prime condition after being blown away to smithereens, so it doesn't make sense Frieza was brought back still cut apart, especially since after he was sliced up by future Trunks, he was blown to dust anyway. Moving on. There were 3 things in this movie that bother me the most, because everything else I've said so far is actually pretty minor. The first is how badly Gohan was treated. Look, I get it, Gohan was never a fighter like that, but he was seriously the strongest non-fused character in Dragon Ball for a while. Now suddenly he's made into this seemingly useless bitch who could barely still turn into a Super Saiyan. Then he gets one shot by Frieza, who again was stated that his power level was 1.3 million. That's around the same power as Frieza had back on Namek in his second form, where he stated his power level exceeded 1 million. This should be nothing to Gohan, despite him being significantly weaker than he was in Battle of Gods, but nope, instead he gets one shot by Frieza and that's that. And it's a huge shame because Gohan was the favorite character for a bunch of fans, now he's a husk of himself and not anywhere close to what he used to be back then. My second big issue is the fact that Goku, a man who is able to deflect and catch bullets, somehow gets one shot by a laser gun by Sorbet. Bullets used to bounce right off of this guy, but a laser gun has to be a different story? Like, hold on. What? Goku could have easily beaten Frieza if this didn't happen, because it just doesn't make any sense for this to happen, especially in Super Saiyan Blue, where he had the power that rivals gods themselves. Fucking hell, man. My third, and this is by far my biggest issue with this movie, is that Vegeta didn't get the moment that he rightfully deserves. Look, I don't care what your opinion is of Vegeta. Love him, hate him, whatever. But there was no one better to kill Frieza here than him. For those who may have forgotten, Frieza is the one who enslaved and used Vegeta ever since Planet Vegeta's destruction. Then Frieza has lied to Vegeta about it for years, and upon the realization of him being lied to, made him hate Frieza even more. And the fact that for once Vegeta finally has the chance to pay onto what was done to him would be the perfect way for this movie to end. Instead, it's stripped from him like everything else, and there's literally no reason for it. The fact Vegeta has godly power after previously falsely believing himself to be a Super Saiyan on Namek struck fear in Frieza's eyes, and Vegeta had the perfect opportunity to get his moment. Because for those of you who may not have seen my Vegeta character analysis video, like, you should all really know, I really like Vegeta. He's my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball, and honestly, I just really hope Vegeta in the manga uses Ultra Ego and uses the Hakai to erase Frieza from existence. Aside from all those though, I do love this movie, like, believe me, I do. And a couple things I do like to start off is the dialogue between Frieza and Bulma. It's hilarious and I really wish we would have seen more of it. Now, I haven't seen the anime version of this movie, so if they do have more dialogue, let me know in the comments. But another thing I do like in this movie is the introduction of Super Saiyan Blue. My only problem with Super Saiyan Blue is that this should have been Super Saiyan God. Like I said in my last video, Super Saiyan God should have just been God mode, in a form that all mortals can use as long as the requirements are met. And since Super Saiyan Blue is basically the power of Super Saiyan God gone Super Saiyan, it would make sense to keep Super Saiyan God as just God mode and then take Super Saiyan with that and make it into Super Saiyan God. I'm sure Gohan, Goten, Trunks, etc. would be much more relevant characters than they are now, and like I said in my last video, Gohan could potentially be the 2-time strongest non-fused fighter in the whole cast. Can you imagine if Gohan took the God power and went Ultimate Gohan with it? That sounds horrifying. Moving on, Golden Frieza is fine, I suppose. I would have been much more better off with it if Frieza used that in the same shape Cooler's 5th form was, but despite that, let's just say Cooler became canon. Cooler can unlock the metal form and become Metal Cooler, and that could either be the antithesis to what Golden Frieza is, or it could be a form beyond what Golden Frieza is and have the metal form exclusive to Cooler. So Golden Frieza to me isn't that big of a deal, despite what people believe otherwise. Whew, finally, I've gone over all the things Resurrection F could have done better. This took a little while to make, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please be sure to leave a like on this video and leave a comment down below, and please subscribe to the channel as it does help me out a lot, and be sure to stick around for any other future videos that I have up in the works. I think the next video in this series is going to be making the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament arc even better. And, you know, that's probably going to take a little while for me to make as I still have to rewatch the entire arc. But that's pretty much it, guys. Matrox Gaming out. Peace.